Hey guys, welcome back to The Bright Side. Macy here, The Bright Side Girl, and today we're doing my February book haul. So, I was not as good as I was in January, where I only bought like 9 or 10 books. I actually have 39 books here to share with you. Slightly disappointed with myself, but then also kind of excited because I found so many great things. But never fear, I do have an unhaul video coming out in the next couple of weeks because I am unhauling a book for every 3 books that I haul over the course of the few months. So I do have quite a few books to share with you. I will do my descriptions the best to my knowledge. I like to go into books somewhat blind, so I don't have a lot of detail for you, but these are all the books I found in February. Most of these books I found at library used bookstores. That's what I have around me that I'm able to get books for very inexpensively, usually around $2 or less. And a couple of these I got from other people. Without further ado, we're just gonna dive right in. First up, I found A Breath of Snow and Ashes by Diana Gabaldon. This is part of the Outlander series. I have a couple of the books up here. You can't see them already. I do prefer this series in these big, large, floppy paperbacks when the books are over like 700 pages because it's easier to read and also just easier to store as well. Then I picked up Paper Valentine by Brenna Jovenhoff. This, I think, has somewhat of a dystopian vibe. I'm not entirely sure, but honestly, I just picked it up because I've heard of it and it was beautiful, and also it was Valentine's Day when I found it, so. Then I picked up Rook by Sharon Cameron. My radar for a little while, and I found it for a quarter, so I went ahead and got it. But it's set in Paris in the future when things are like run down and kind of dystopian-esque, and there is a guy called the Rook, and there's like an ongoing game of like chess with politics and people. I think I could be really wrong, but that's the gist that I'm getting from this, and I haven't really read a book set in Paris in a while. Kind of bummed because I thought this was an arc of The Glittering Court by Richelle Mead. It is actually a sampler of The Glittering Court by Richelle Mead, so unfortunately there's only like 130 pages of the book, so I'll have to get it from the library still, and I may just immediately put this in my little free library, but I still think it's kind of cool when I can find arcs. And I found Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. I never know how to say his name. I have a few of his other books that are kind of on a joint TBR for me and my husband Jeff, but I went to start with this one because I have never read it. I thought it was originally like a children's book, but I guess it's an adult book and it's a lot heftier than I was expecting. Hopefully get to this one this year because I love the movies. Then I found The Golem and the Jinni by Helen Wecker. I already have this one in paperback, so I'm just upgrading to a hardback version. This is set in 1899 in New York, and there's a creature called a golem that is made out of clay, and there's a jinni, which I think is some kind of genie in a certain type of folklore. I'm really bad at descriptions, but it's supposed to be amazing, and one of my other friends is reading this year or next year, so I hope to do a buddy read with her. Plot twist! I got In a Handful of Dust by Mindy McGinnis. If you've seen any of my past videos, I kind of rant about how much I hated Not a Drop to Drink, but I read it with my husband and I think he was like over criticizing it. Also, there were reasons to dislike the book. The main character was very dislikable. The plot was kind of not accurately described. We thought it was going to be like pioneer style on a journey to find water in the future when there's like a major drought and there's literally no water and people are like killing each other to find it. But really it was like a homesteader's story where they're just kind of in lockdown at their house trying to protect the water that they have, and at no point did I feel like my character didn't have water, and it was weird. And then also there were some scenes in here that were just not accurate as far as like the wilderness slash survival situation. Anyway, but I do really love Mindy McGinnis's characters besides that main character, and this one follows a different character in the book, and I think that they actually are on a journey to go and find a better place to live, so hopefully I like this one better. Plus it's just so beautiful, and I really loved A Madness So Discreet by Mindy McGinnis, so she kind of redeemed herself in my eyes, and it was like not very expensive, so. Found Royce Rolls by Margaret Stoll. This is about a family that's on reality TV and their daughter doesn't really want to be, and then something happens and they get taken off TV. I don't know, contemporary reality TV style, and I've never read anything like that before. It was really popular last year, or at least it was talked about. I don't know if anyone actually really liked it, but Margaret Stoll is the co-author of the Beautiful Creatures series, which I did enjoy the writing style for, so hopefully I can read this summer. For this in the middle here, I picked up Ask and It Is Given, Learning to Manifest Your Desires by Esther and Jerry Hicks. This is a nonfiction positive belief type self-help book. I have followed Esther and Jerry for a long time. I've even seen them in conference. This is definitely like quantum physics, kind of new age style nonfiction, so if you're not into that, you won't like it. But I am currently reading one of their other books right now. I have read this one before, but I want to give it a reread because I just find it really helpful. And also it's published by Hay House, which published my mom's cookbooks as well, so I kind of try to like support them when I see their books out. Picked up a copy of White Cat by Holly Black. I almost unhauled the other two books in this series because I couldn't find White Cat, and I was just like, I'll read it and then get them again later if I like it. But I read The Cruel Prince in January and The Wicked King, and I just love Holly Black's writing style so much that I think I'm gonna bump this one up on my to-read list. This is an urban fantasy with magic and some kind of magical cats. I don't really know. It definitely doesn't have fairies in it as far as I know, but it's just one that I've been wanting to read. Then I picked up Angel Fall and World After by Susan E. or Susan A. I'm not really sure how you pronounce it. These are dystopian, sci-fi, futuristic, brutal books. That's all I've heard, is that they're kind of brutal, which is interesting to me. I just like to read things that are a little bit more brutal and see how I feel about them. And they were really popular like a couple years ago, and so I found these really pretty paperbacks, so hopefully I can read them at some point, just like everything else. I picked up Anti-Goddess by Kendare Blake. This is the author of the Three Dark Crown series that I absolutely loved. I did not like Anna Dressed in Blood at all, which you'll see in my unhaul video, but this is another one of her series. I think it's the only other series that she has, and this is like Greek mythology fantasy. It might be urban fantasy, I'm not really sure, but this has been on my list for a little bit as well. Then I picked up Seraphina and the Black Cloak. This is by Robert Beatty, I'm not really sure, but I have the second book in the series. It's a middle grade fantasy slash mystery, not really sure. Again, have heard great things, want to read it. Proxy by Alex London. This is like futuristic dystopian about a boy named Knox who comes from a very wealthy family and gets everything that he could ever want, and he has a proxy to take his punishments for him, whatever that means. I don't know if it's like a slave or something, like if he does something bad, this like proxy guy gets punished instead, so it sounded kind of different and unique, and also just shiny covers are life. Picked up Eon and Iona, both by Allison Goodman. Again, fantasy series, something to do with dragons, maybe elemental power. Heard really amazing things about them. They're so freaking beautiful, and I hope to read them. I think it might be a trilogy, I'm not entirely sure, but I have 1 and 2 now. Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett. This is an adult book about a demon and an angel that become friends, I think, something like that. It's supposed to be really funny, it's gonna be a TV show soon, and I'm like slowly reading Neil's books. I found a signed copy of Soundless by Rochelle Mead. This just happened to be signed, I wasn't looking for it, but this is an Asian-inspired fantasy, I believe. So it is a fantasy world where the lead character can't speak. That's really all I know about it. It's really, really short, so I should be able to get to this fairly quickly. I had to talk about this in my January book haul, but I found Because You Love to Hate Me. I found this last month, but I just forgot to haul it for some reason. This is 13 Tales of Villainy. So this is an anthology of backstories or news stories about our favorite villains, prompted by our favorite booktubers, written by our favorite authors. Booktubers like Sasha Alsberg, Jesse the Reader, Christine Riccio, Whitney Atkinson, and all those kinds of wonderful booktubers are prompting authors like Nicola Yoon, Adam Silvera, Nate Audier, and Marissa Meyer. So it sounds like it's going to be great. Winter Glass by Lexa Hilliger. This is the author of Spindlefire, which is book 1 in this series or duology. I'm not really sure. Some kind of fantasy fairy tale retelling, possibly Sleeping Beauty, because the lead character's name is Aurora. But really, honestly, cover is just, it's so pretty. I've been in like this like beautiful winter book mood. I've heard kind of not so great things about Spindlefire, but hopefully I feel differently so I can read Winter Glass as well. Captain Hook by J.V. Hart and illustrated by Brett Helquist, who did the illustrations for a series of Unfortunate Events and other books as well. This is basically Captain Hook backstory or retelling. I really, really am into like villainous backstories, and I've read a couple about Captain Hook that I really enjoyed, so hopefully I like this one too. I think this might be a middle grade one. Picked up Furyborn by Claire Legrand. This one I actually found through Facebook Swap and Shop, just like in my local area. There was a girl selling young adult books and I got 4 from her, but I traded 2 for other things, which you'll see in a trade video coming soon. And I read Winter Spell by Claire Legrand this December. Didn't love it, but I loved her writing style and her world building, so hopefully I will enjoy this new. From that same girl, I also got Queen's Rising by Rebecca Ross. This is, again, is a fantasy series with kingdoms and queens. That's really all I know about it, and my other friend Claire, I think, read it or is about to read it, also newer from last year. And most of the books I get are used, and they're usually more than 2 or 3 years old, so it's kind of exciting when I can find things that are a little bit on the new side. Found Leaping Beauty by Gregory Maguire and Other Animal Fairy Tales. This is a bunch of fairy tales like retold by Gregory Maguire, who is famous for retelling fairy tales. This is a children's book, I believe, or maybe middle grade. He usually retells adult books. He's the author of Wicked. I am kind of hit or miss for him at this moment, but I keep collecting and reading his books anyway, just because I love fairy tale retellings and his covers are usually really pretty and fun. So I've been looking for this one for just a little bit, and it's super short. I found a hardback edition and collector's edition of Uglies by Scott Westerfeld. I have the paperback one of this one, and I unhauled it in my big giant unhaul this winter, but I was looking for the hardback version and now I have it, so now I can start this series. It's a dystopian series all about people that make themselves look better, and it's like required, something like that. I don't know. Found a paperback copy of Sphinx Princess set in Egypt back in Cleopatra area, and I have nothing else set around that time, and I just like to read diversely as far as history goes. So some historical fiction, and I think fantasy as well. The Invasion by Pilar O'Guin or O'Guin. This is book 2 after The Call, and I've heard amazing things about The Call. I honestly don't know anything about it, but it's supposed to be kind of scary and creepy, so I'm going to save this one for the fall. I found Adverbs by Daniel Handler. This is the author of The Series of Unfortunate Events, He's Lemony Snicket, and also Why We Broke Up, which I read in, I think, December and absolutely loved. I just really like his writing. It's very weird and very different, and every book is different from his last book, so I have no clue, again, what this is about, other than the fact that I just like this author. Jellicoe Road by Lena Marchetta. This one won a Prince Award. It is also on Epic Reads, has a United States of YA book list where they have a book listed for every state. This is one that is on that list. That's the main reason I got it. I know it has a very weird writing style because I attempted to read it at one point and then I didn't DNF it, but I moved on to something else, but I do want to read it at some point. It's very well beloved. Picked up Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman. This one again came out last year, and oh, I don't like paperbacks normally, but it's so soft and it has the deckled edges and it's not very long. I don't know if this is a new story twist of Norse mythology prompts or if it is a history of Norse mythology through Neil Gaiman's eyes. I don't really know, but I mean, how amazing does this look? And I do like keep collecting Neil's books. Demon King by Cinda Williams Chima. This is actually a signed edition, even though it's personalized to somebody else. That's okay. I traded this one a while back because I really wanted something else. I don't remember what I traded it for, and I just knew that I'd be able to find it again, so now I have. Found Rebel of the Sands by Aylwin Hamilton. This is kind of got an Arabian Nights style feel to it. I don't think that it's a retelling, but it might be. But I'm getting ready to read a bunch of stories from 1001 Arabian Nights and like Aladdin and A Wrath in the Dawn and like a bunch of things set kind of in that similar style, and so I hope I can squeeze this one in too. I found this cute little arc of Listen to Your Heart by Casey West. Again, one that came out last year. This is a romantic contemporary but has a podcast element, so I'm super into it, and I've never read Casey West before, and I feel like this is a good place to start even though it's one of her newer books that came out. Also, this cover's so cute. One of the most exciting finds I found Mer Charmer World of Alluvia book 2 by Amy Bierce. I don't remember what book 1 is called, but this is a mermaid fantasy series and it's been on my list, and I'm pretty sure it might be self-published or maybe it's just harder to find, but I couldn't even find these in my library other than like in ebook form. So I'm happy to have book 2, and I'll have to maybe read the other one in ebook form because I think that's the only way I can get it without purchasing it. But look how beautiful. And it again has that like that nice soft feeling. Then I found The Kingdom Keepers by Ridley Pearson. This is the co-author of Peter and the Starcatchers, which I am currently rereading with my husband via audiobook and absolutely love. But this is about kids after hours in Disneyland, and like everything comes to life and magic and mayhem, and it sounds amazing. So I have the book 3 and I think this is book 1, so I should be able to start this soon. Sounds really cute. I think it's middle grade as well. And lastly, a couple Sarah J Maas books, which are really hard for me to find, and I finally found some. I found Empire of Storms. This is the Throne of Glass novel. I don't remember which number it is. I was going to originally read these on audiobook because I could not find the physical books. This is an ex-library edition. It is kind of more beat up. There's like water damage and the cover's falling off, but I didn't care because I can never find Sarah J Maas, and it's still going to look pretty on my shelf. So I will start this at some point, and I'm going to do a vlog on the whole Throne of Glass series because I haven't read any Sarah J Maas yet, but I'm debating on whether I should start this one or ACOTAR first. I don't have the first Throne of Glass book, so that's kind of putting a damper on my on my starting it, even though I can just rent it from the library. And then lastly, I found Catwoman Soul Stealer by Sarah J Maas, and this is part of the DC Icons series. I know that they all kind of go together. I think this might be the last one, I'm not really sure, but I also have Wonder Woman, so I just need a couple more to start the series, and they're like retellings of our favorite DC characters, so hopefully I enjoy that.